uh, why do Americans think that like V Trigger 2 is whack? And there's key distinctions why. First off, you can V reversal. That's the big thing. All right. The first thing about this V trigger, and I'll show it right here, is that literally the moment you see a situation of it, they just reversal. Wait, what's a reversal? Is it kicks? Oh god. But literally, is it kicks or punches? Chat, what is it? I think it's punches. It's punches. All right. But yeah, the whole point of this is that literally the moment you see trigger. Oh god, dude. But the moment you see it, you reversal it, right? That's the whole thing about it. However, there are some benefits of using this, right? So like, let's say for example, right, we don't have reversals turned on, and you're just blocking, right? You're just blocking, you have no V trigger, and I get a random mix, right? Like I just get a random mix. Let's see you get hit by that, right? That's a pretty good amount of damage for like taking away your health. 281, 444, right? That was just a simple combo. That's not me like going in depth or none. Now let's look at neutral wise, because there are mix-ups in this, right? Let's say get this. I get an ambiguous setup. I take it to the corner, 225, 378, and I get over. Okay. Now, V trigger 1. Let's say I get a hit. Did you think it was over? Useless. Right, that was just one bar. That wasn't optimal or nothing. That was just me thinking on the top of my head. Now let's say I was really trying mad hard. Did you think it was over? 444, 666. All right, then I'm in the corner. I still got V trigger, and I can throw you. I can axe kick. I can do whatever. The big thing about V trigger 1 is that it's just so explosive, and the fact that people fear for their lives, that if they get hit, they may die. You know, V trigger 2, you may not die right away. You may get like 2 or 3 more guesses, and then it's just like when you see overseas, especially like what is it? Sako, Xian, Momochi, they're all using V trigger 2. And I think the good reasons about it is that, like, one, it's creative. That's the first thing. It's very creative. You can create your own mixes, you can create your own setups and everything. And I think the second thing is that it's a 2-bar V trigger. 2-bar V triggers, if it's pretty strong, people tend to go to it. Like, for example, look at Buki. She has a V trigger 2 that's, hella cheap. She can make into a plus frames and everything. And she can just make you get mixed. And the reason why I talk about V trigger 2, Ibuki specifically, is because both of the V triggers kind of the same aspect. They want to mix you, right? The only difference with Ibuki is that you can't really V reversal it. And the whole thing is that she can make plus a strong EX kunai. She can hit confirm it. And Sess, on the other hand, is like, if there's a big gap, you can just reversal it and get the hit and just be like, cool, I'm done. I don't have to worry about yours. Now, there are setups that beat V reversals, like I've seen it on Momochi's or Sako's. They try to figure out punishes because they're trying to be very creative. Don't hesitate. It's just the problem is that you gotta think of that. You gotta think so much about the V trigger. It's like, all right, does he do this? Does he do that? Does he do that? I think there's so many scenarios. With V trigger 1, it's just, I'm gonna just hit you. You know, you just think a straight roll, right? I'm gonna just hit you. I don't care. That's kind of the whole concept of it. And I think just the fact that it's so straightforward and it deals so much is what makes people upset at it. And V trigger 2 makes people be like, I don't want to think, I want to just activate and win. Because the whole concept of this game is like V trigger is kind of like your comeback factor in a way, So if I have to think of my comeback factor, why am I even choosing it? And why do I have to think about so many scenarios, And the whole thing about like Americans specifically, and I'm not sure if Europe is the same way because Europe has Broski and he kind of messed around V trigger 2 and there's other ones and there's other sets. But America kind of definitely like has the biggest like, I don't want to say biggest hot take, but it's like biggest like concern or something like that about V trigger 2. They're like, oh, why would I go this if I go that? And I've said to myself, especially in tournament, Like, and especially in tournament. In tournament, I'm going V-Trigger 1. I don't care. V-Trigger 2 is just much more fun. And again, creative. That's the whole premise behind it. And somehow, if they do buff it to make it like you can't V-Reversal, that will be crazy. But I highly doubt that. I definitely highly doubt that. It'll probably say the same. But yeah, it's just Americans, I think we tend not to like we don't want to think, you know, we just don't want to think when you activate V-Trigger. That's the whole thing about it. And in high level play, you may not see it as much, you know? High level play, I think everyone's gonna be just smart and go with the safer option, you know? V-Trigger 2 may not be the most safest option, but it's definitely more the creative and you can experiment with it. Obviously, since this is the first actual season of Seth, and you know we've been into this version for about what, ever since February, so that's like 8 months now, roughly. So, and there's always been just the hot topic of which V-Trigger is better for Seth, and everyone, or the majority of people, I would say, agree that V-Trigger 1's better. V-Trigger 2 is alright, but again, it's just you get to show like Oil King, Shen, Sako, all of them are using it. So there's gotta be a good reason why they're using it. And it just I think it feels good to them to just have it. And they have put in so much work into it. Like, I'm talking about hours of work. Like, you think like me creating this mix is cool. Like, you see the mixes that freaking Shen has. Shen has like 2 like crazy mixes. But yeah, it's just Americans, I just don't think, like, I feel like we just don't want to think when activating that. Especially with a cheap character, like, you just don't want to think. Like, you picked the cheap character for a reason. Like, you literally picked him for a reason. The East definitely didn't think G was good. And I think it was because they just didn't have, like, they didn't have players that, like, mess with G, you know? They didn't have players that, like, said, oh, this character kind of vibes with me, you know? Smug literally plays G very defensively, and he can go offensive if he chooses to, and he understands the character's cheap and everything. Same with Gus. Like, you start with that when he picks cheap characters. My man picked Laura season 2, he picked G, and he learned how to play Urian a bit, and my man is still sticking with G. But literally, it's just the moment they see one person do V-Trigger, especially if they're from America, it's like, oh, the thing's trash right away. Right away. But then, I bet you, like, some people would turn cold real quick and be like, the moment an Eastern player does it and they get a mix, it's like, bro, it's so good, it's so beautiful. It's like, it's definitely, some people are two-faced like that. Others just outright say it sucks, or it's not as good as V-Trigger 1. Personally, my take was, I definitely was the person right away to say this thing sucks because I didn't want to think. But then I slowly started to use it. I was stubborn, right? I was like, all right, I'm going to learn this thing. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to learn it. I learned it. I got used to it. I got off of it. Then I'm coming back into it. And I'm learning more and more about it, you know? So it definitely takes time, I would say. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see next season what happens with it. But literally, I think Americans just don't want to think when activating V-Trigger. That's the whole point of it.